Hi. Another fantastic day, 30 degrees. Guys, I don't know if it's global warming or what it is, but I tell you, we're having quite the summer here. It has been hot. It has been drier than we want. We're having quite a few forest fires. But even our June, we usually get fog and cool weather in June. June was hot this year. It's great for the plants, I guess, that are getting their water. Many of those outside are drying up. That's not good. But this is so unusual for us. Everything seems to be doing good in here. Of course, we're keeping the nutrients to it. We have a couple yellow peppers. They both started changing a few days ago, and they're doing nicely. Most of the other ones are still green. Oh, wait now. I see another yellow one. There's one turning yellow in there. Nice. And we have one over here that's not going yellow, but it's after turning really dark. When I've seen them do this in the past, they're usually going to turn red. So we're going to keep an eye on that one as well. I've had to clean up some of the leaves on here again, so that the sun can get at the peppers. They're all growing really well. They're still using about 10 or 11 liters of nutrient per day. And that's the same thing I'm finding with the tomatoes, actually. They're giving them a 10-liter bucket of nutrients every day. Look at the size of this. Look. What beautiful peppers. Over on the tomato side, I have not found any tomatoes with blossom end rot since we replaced the nutrients. So I believe we have fixed that problem. We do have a few small ones here that need to be picked. We're going to pop a couple of those off the branches right now. When the tomatoes are ready and you pick them, you're freeing up those nutrients for other tomatoes to grow. And you know they're ready when they just practically fall off the bush. As soon as you touch them, they come off. Just reach right in around there. Get that one. There we go. These here are still a little bit orange. We're going to leave those. We'll leave that one down there, but I've got a couple right here that are going to come off. This guy. And this guy right here. Now we have one of our large ones over here. It's also starting to turn. I think that's the first large one that started to turn, other than the ones that had the blossom end rot. We've got quite a few tomatoes in around the back there. Still a few small ones up in the top here. I don't know if this harvest this year is going to be as big as the one last year, largely because we do have a lot of smaller ones. I didn't realize that variety was that small. Now we're after losing a few tomatoes to blossom end rot. This is some of them right here. And I've noticed that they turn red anyhow. Most of them start off like this, but then you get a little bit of red around the edge, and they end up becoming completely red. So my wife suggested that we cut them open and have a look, and we found that the blossom end rot is just like a bad spot. We cut it off, and the rest of the tomato appears to be fine. I did notice with one of them, the skin was a little tiny bit tougher, but otherwise, we ate them. We enjoyed them on our salads, and they never actually got wasted. We just cut off the bad spots. This guy here, I expect will turn red within the next couple of days. It'll be much like this one here, and we'll use it in a meal. So they're not totally lost. We've got a A couple of our tomato plants are after getting quite tall again. We're going to drop those down again this morning. I think everything else is looking good. I don't see anything too close to the ground or anything else that's too far up. Let's take a run out in the garden and we'll see how things are out there. Wow, everything is looking good. Everything looks good. Look at all the flowers we have here on our peas. They'll soon be starting to make some pods. They're standing up really well. I don't need either trellis for these this year. They're all just going to hold on to each other and enjoy the ride. You can already see some of the pods starting to form here. We'll see how they turn out over the next while. Over on this side are carrots. They're doing good. This is the second batch of carrots I put in. And like the others, we do have a few empty spaces in through here. I'm just leaving that be for now. Our onions are doing good. This potato guy here, he's doing all right. We'll see what comes of that one. But some of our onions are bulbing up very nicely. I think that bit of manure I put on them really helped. We're going to keep watering these a little bit in the evening, as well as the other vegetables. You can tell here this guy is growing a bit under the soil. You can see how the soil is breaking apart here. So you know that there's a lot of growth happening down underneath there. Usually the onions, we try to keep them on top of the ground more like this one over here. But I guess with the extra bit of soil and manure that I put on there, I have some of them a little bit too deep there now for my liking. But we're going to leave them alone. I'm going to let them grow. Now our potatoes are in two different states here. These here are still very green. Most of these have already flowered. If we look down through, we can see that some of them are turning yellow now. All right, so the potato plants are going to turn yellow, and the leaf and stalk portion will dry up and die as the potatoes are growing underground. You can see these here have already gone through that stage, and these over here, which are a different type of potato from these, they've been dying off for the past week or two now. Once everything is died off, I'm going to take the stalks off them, and I'm just going to let the potatoes sit in the ground and continue to grow. The reason why I'm taking the stalks off is because we get blight in our potatoes here, usually during August. As the weather starts to cool down and turn damp at night, blight is a fungus which will adhere to the leaves and then go down through the plant and get into potatoes. So as soon as these here are done with the leaves and the stalks, I'm going to remove them and let the potatoes continue to grow down in the ground. These guys over here, it's going to be a little bit longer before I get these cut down the same way, because they are a different type of potato and they want a longer season to grow. Let's have a look at the first carrots that we put in. We've got a couple weeds here that like the soil here. Let's get rid of that. But they're growing nice. Look, quite thick. We have a couple gaps in them, like right here. Of course, the weeds are quick to move in. But down here on this end, they seem to be smaller for some reason. Now, I'm not sure what's going on here. I'm thinking it's because of the shade from my maple tree. But there's only these few right here that are smaller, and we'll just leave those in the ground longer and let them grow more. Just like the potatoes in my far bed there, these are also dying off. Some of them are gone. Potatoes are still in the ground here and they're growing well. I've seen a few of them the other day as I had to hill them up with a bit of soil that I did have. So there's potatoes growing down there and doing quite well. But when these here die off like this, we'll be getting rid of all the leaves and letting them grow. And the zucchinis. Well, we only have a couple plants here, but we are getting a couple zucchinis from that. We can see over here that this one here is being eaten away. These didn't pollinate very well because we haven't had any male flowers. Now in saying that, I think this may be a male down here, but it's hard to tell right now. It's a little bit stocky. It may be a female. But we haven't been getting good pollination simply because we haven't been getting the male flowers to pollinate with. Overall, I think the plants are all doing well out here. I've been watering them every second evening or so. Let's head back in the greenhouse, get things tidied up there for the day, and see how things go. Okay, well now that things are good out in the yard, let's drop down this guy and this guy over here. So how many points of contact do we have here for this one? First of all, this one here is just holding our vine sideways. So we're going to unclip that and just pull this line back here for now. That one just holds it sideways, give me a gap there so that makes it a little bit easier for maintenance when I'm doing something specific there. So we've got a broken line here, so let's take that one off altogether. That's why we have more than one on here all the time. I still have two more on there. So this one, we have three more on there. This one here, we'll open this one. I'm just going to move it right up to about here. This one here. I will take that clip off. I'm going to move it right down here with a little bit of extra line on it. Because I'm not sure how that one's going to go tight when I take off this one and the plant actually comes down. There we go. We'll lower that one down like this. Right about there is not bad. That one's gone tight. Two of those are gone tight. Now I see down at the bottom here, my tomatoes have gone in on my system a bit. So I'm going to take the clip that I just took off that had the broken line, and I'm going to put it on that little tomato vine there, right on there. And I'm going to bring it back this way someplace and hook it on. And that will just keep those tomatoes from being in contact with something else. Any place where they're in contact, there's a likelihood, often a very high likelihood, that the insects are going to use that as their place to get onto the plant. So we can decrease those kind of places. That will work better for our plant. There we go. Now it's not touching anything other than being on the plant itself. And we can see that this one is now a lot lower. So I've got a sucker up here. I'm going to pinch that one off. And we're going to take this and we're going to use a clip right here. I don't know how well you can see this. Whoop. All right, let's try this a little bit differently. You guys hang out over there. and watch from that point of view. So I'm going to put a clip up here. I close the clip halfway so that I'm holding the line in place. And we're going to go right around that one there. That'll keep that one up. The little sucker up there, we're going to get rid of that. All right. Now the other one that we have to deal with is this one in here. It's quite high. So what do we have in points of contact? I've got one here and one up here. All right, so that one there is going to have to be lowered down. It's going to come out through this way more now. So let's disconnect it up here toward the top. All right. Now, in doing that one, I'm going to put another line on to support it, because I had it clipped right onto the top here then, and now it's going to drop down, so we're going to need a line there. So we're going to put that line right here, wrap it around, and I'll pull it through. Rather than put that clip on yet, I'm going to disconnect the other clip, which is right up here. We're going to lower that one on the string, bring it down to somewhere around there. That's going to bring this part right out here. So we're going to connect it here with another clip. And these last clips that I bought off Amazon, they have too much plastic around them that didn't come off properly in the manufacturing process, and they can be really a nuisance to try to get them to clip in or unclip. All right, so I'm checking all the tomatoes to make sure that nothing is down on the ground either bit. I do see something in the back there, so let's move this here over. And this one here, we have to straighten that out. I need to be able to push these to the side a little bit and see what I got back here. All right, so this guy, where's he coming from? All right, so that's a branch coming off that one. All right, we're going to put another trellis coming down on the back there for that one. I didn't see that one before, so now that we know it's there, we'll look after it a little bit better. I'll just in through here. As time goes on, it gets a little bit more tangly in here, but this is why we use the trellises the way we are. And we drop these down in such a way that we can swing them around. It makes it easier for us to get in behind them and get at the other ones like this. So we're going to get a clip on right here. I want to get it right under that branch there so that it will hold it up nicely. Whoops, I missed the line altogether on that one. Try that again. All right, so we'll get right in there. There we are. Now, that one's got a little sucker coming up right there. Let me back out of here. Got a couple suckers here to pinch off. We have a couple down here which need to go. I don't mind these net cups coming up like this. That's quite normal. It's not hurting anything. The roots are still mostly protected, and we're getting a little bit more light in there, but not enough that I'm going to worry about. There are other things in this world to worry about without worrying about that little bit of algae that would grow there. All right, all the tomatoes look like they're suspended nicely. I don't see any that are down in contact with the containers or anything. So I think that's good for now. By having them out like this here, they get really good airflow, and they're getting a lot more sun than if they're all crowded together. Oh, there's a sucker right up there. See the sucker coming up in the middle? We're going to pinch that one off, and I've got another one there. Look. There's several there. So let's get rid of those. That one there is actually a sucker. Alright, I think that's good. There's nothing up real high there now. Hopefully some of these tomatoes on the bottom will ripen. We can see these over here are ripening now. And as they ripen, we'll get them off. And if we can get all the tomatoes off, then I don't mind removing some of these bottom leaves here. I like to have leaves along the stalk because they're helping to pull the nutrients through. But yeah, we'll get a few cherry tomatoes out of that very soon again now. There's a few of them here are starting to turn. I think all of those in there are turning, except one maybe. So that's good. Everything's looking good over here on the pepper side. There's a lot more peppers here than I prefer in some cases. But these plants are doing so well, I don't want to reduce the number of peppers. I'd rather let them grow slower and the nutrients be used up by many peppers. And it will hopefully prolong the growth for me enough that we'll get a better crop of more peppers and they'll end up being larger down the road. So things are slowing down a bit, but I think they're all going to be fine. I think as we pick the larger ones within the next few weeks, the smaller ones will start to bulk up a little bit faster. I've been looking at my peppers a little bit closer here, and they are all looking healthy, but I have noticed that one pepper up there, that's the other one that I discovered today that is turning yellow, it is developing some blossom end rot. So on bell peppers this is possible as well as on tomatoes. So I may have to remove the nutrients from this system and replace it just as I did with the tomatoes. I think we're good for the day. As usual, everything is going good. We got these guys dropped down. Oh, we got one more sucker up at the top here. Let's get rid of it. There we go. The sucker's gone. Alright, now we're done. Let's call it a day. We'll see you next time here in the greenhouse.